Hi, this is Kim from Dorothy's Daughter. Welcome to my channel. I'm very excited today to be doing a collaboration with Whitney from TomKat Stitchery. Before we get to that though, I just want to say thank you to my new subscribers. The channel is growing day by day, and it's just so exciting to me to log on and see new subscribers. Very excited at the possibilities that this channel might bring to all of us. I hope that you enjoy some of the makes and reviews and Friday sewing school and a lot of the other things that I really can't wait to share with you. So the Kalispell dress is the pattern that Whitney and I decided to both make and review and release on the same day. Whitney, if you have not ever seen her channel, which it's probably hardly anyone is going to watch this video who hasn't already seen Whitney, but if you haven't by some chance, I would just love to say that she has one of the most fantastic channels you'll ever come across. She has some great tutorials. She's a nice person. I believe it's becoming a good friend, and I am very grateful for her doing this collaboration with me. Anyway, the Kalispell dress that we both wanted to review and release on the same day is from Itch to Stitch Patterns. It's a pattern that I've been looking at for a long time, and it turns out she had been too. It comes in sizes 0 to 20. Itch to Stitch patterns are, this is the second pattern I've ever made by, her name is Kenneth Wong is the designer. It's the second pattern I've made of hers, and the first one I loved too. I made the Hvar Jacket in the past. If I can find the picture of the Hvar Jacket, I will put it somewhere here. And what's unique about Itch to Stitch patterns is that they have most of their patterns in cup sizes, which is really nice for fit, and really goes a long way toward making your garment be tailored just to you. I've found her patterns to be easy to follow, ample ease, no problem with having enough ease there to work with. Her seam allowances are a straight 1/2 inch, which I really like. It's a little more than the 3/8 some people give, but not as huge as the 5/8. Sometimes 5/8 of an inch seam allowance can actually make it harder to work with. I don't know if you can follow me, but by having that extra fabric there, it kind of sometimes can be harder to work in ease and stuff like that. So I really appreciate, I know it's a small thing, but I appreciate her seam allowances too. Anyway, the pattern Kalispell caught my eye because I just thought it would look good on any body type. And Whitney and I, in our discussions, we were talking, and we actually decided that we have opposite body types. She always describes herself as an inverted triangle, and I am a pear. I'm an almost triangular pear, being very small at the top and, you know, proportionately big at the bottom. And just a lot of times have fit issues with having narrow shoulders, and even though I have large busts, I end up doing a narrow shoulder adjustment rather than an FBA because the rest of me progressively gets larger. And I'm that way no matter what weight I am. Even if when I was a size 8, I still had that same proportional problem. So, when you learn to know your body, you learn to know what adjustments you're going to need to make, especially when you go from pattern company to pattern company. Once you know on one certain pattern company, then you know for the rest. This is the first time I had made an Itch to Stitch dress. The jacket was a fantastic fit, no problems whatsoever. I didn't do any adjustments to the jacket because it had this sort of waterfall effect. To do a narrow shoulder adjustment just wasn't necessary because you could pull that waterfall on the collar in to accommodate that. So there was no need for me to do all that fussing that I usually do, which I really liked. With this one, what I did was I did make my usual adjustments. I did a narrow shoulder adjustment. I started off with actually a size 14 in the neckline, and I graded out to a 16 in the bust, an 18 in the waist, and a 20 in the hips. So there was quite a bit of adjusting going on. I also lowered the bust by 3/4 of an inch, which is interesting with princess seams. It's a little bit different. It's the same really, but there's more pieces that you have to do it to. But I honestly, it worked out really well. So I started by making a muslin, and this is Georgia, my mannequin. Georgia is me about 30 pounds ago, so I don't really use her for fit. I just use her to like put stuff on and pin things on, because it's a lot easier sometimes just to have a form. I need to restuff her to make her more true to me, and then she'll be wonderful. But anyway, I did make some adjustments to the muslin. I had also lengthened the bodice, which is something I have to do on every pattern. So I lengthened the bodice by 2 inches, knowing it would be too much. And I'll explain that in a minute. And then I ended up having some adjustments in here that I had to make the band lay correctly. And I think that's probably because I lowered the bust, but had a smaller size here. But anyway, I was able to make all those adjustments. I went with the flutter sleeve. So on my muslins, when there's a sleeve, I put in 1 sleeve just to make sure. So I do have full biceps, and I wanted to make sure that the arm side was going to be accommodating to me, which it was. No adjustment there. And so I went ahead and did this muslin. Now this muslin is, I don't buy muslin. I don't waste my money on muslin. What I do is I have a box of old sheets in the attic. So if this looks like it's old sheets, that's exactly what it is. I use those for muslin. This is a much crisper fabric than what I ended up using. And I'll explain why that's important in a moment. But once I did this adjustment, when I was putting the top and bottom together, I actually put the finished top on, well, finished except for the band and stuff. I put the finished top on to the best that I could, and then put the skirt around and decided where I wanted that waistline to be. So I ended up net lengthening the bodice by 1 inch instead of 2. So, and it worked well. I do have a long waist. Normally I have to lengthen them anywhere from 1.5 inches to 2 inches. So this was actually, this was actually more long-waisted pattern than what I usually do. So the next time I do itch to stitch, I may not lengthen the bodice and see what happens, because I think I probably could have gotten away with not doing it on this particular pattern, especially the way the lines on this pattern are. I further tweaked it then, when I put the top and bottom together and made sure that everything was going to fit properly, which it did. So those are the adjustments that I made. Now the fabric that I chose was a rayon challis, and it was purchased at the Quilt and Sewing Expo in Cleveland and Vogue Fabric booth, and it's a very lightweight rayon challis. So the pattern actually says that lightweight wovens are appropriate for that pattern. I probably would not have chosen that fabric in hindsight. If I, knowing now what the pattern and the lines and the way it went together, I probably should have gone with something crisper. It was light, airy, it was drapey. It's, like I said, from Vogue Fabrics. It washed really well, maintained the color. I did all the pre-washing and everything. And I'm very happy with the fabric. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy with my finished dress. I do like my finished dress. But I think I might have liked it better if I had chosen a crisper fabric. I do want to make this pattern again in like just a crisp cotton lawn or something that has a little bit more structure than that challis. I love rayon in the summertime, and when I can make a dress out of rayon challis for summer, it's so cool and airy that I just really, it was just a win for me to use rayon challis for this pattern. However, it was not a win to pair the pattern and the fabric together, if that makes any sense. It did lay nice, and you know, for what it is, you know, knowing that it's a drapey fabric, it looks nice. But did it show off all the features of this pattern? No, it did not. And it also, I mean, no matter how much you stay stitch rayon, it kind of takes on a shape of its own when you're working with it. And I tried it on so many times, so putting the band on became a bit of a challenge. That was, you know, it ended up working out okay, but it was more of a challenge than it should have been. I should have used a more structured fabric, especially the first time making this dress. As far as the pattern itself goes, the instructions were wonderful, plenty of ease. I have no issues with the pattern whatsoever. I love that she has cup sizes. I know that a lot of you struggle with not really liking to do FBAs on your patterns. She goes all the way up to a D cup, and you know, she just is wonderfully accommodating for all body types. I will say that about her patterns. I would say follow the instructions exactly, which I did, where all the stay stitching needs to be, because you are manipulating things quite a bit, putting that band on and you know, clipping and spreading to get all the curves to go right. So I would say definitely don't skip the stay stitching. Well, you never should skip stay stitching, but especially don't skip stay stitching with this pattern, because there are a lot of places where things have to ease in and around curves, and it's very important. I followed the construction exactly as written, except for one thing. I used my my clear elastic sleeve method and put my sleeves in flat. I like putting my sleeves in flat. I mean, there are 1,000 opinions on that. Some people love to put them in the traditional way. I'm going to be releasing a video this week on how I do the elastic. I use clear elastic to put in a set-in sleeve that makes it as easy to work with as a knit. So I did use that method to put in these sleeves, which you could use that method the traditional way as well. I just like doing it flat. I feel I have more control over where things are going. It's just a preference. So I did do things out of step there and put the sleeves in before the side seams. Now the question would be, would I make this pattern again? The answer is absolutely. I will make this pattern again. The difference I will make is that I will use a structured fabric. I will probably omit the lengthening of the bodice that I did. That's about it, really. I think it's all about fabric choice in this case. I did love my dress, but it's not the crisp pleats that you see in the testing pictures and stuff. So, but I did love it. It was flowy, pretty. You know, the one thing I will say, the band, and I don't know, it could be because I lengthened the bust line, which that's probably why, which maybe, I don't know how it would have fit me if I hadn't done that, but it came a little too low for my comfort. As far as I'm a worship leader, and if I make a day dress, you know, like a daytime dress that you would wear, you know, to church. It's got to be church appropriate because I stand up in front of church. So I don't know if I'll ever wear that one to church, honestly. Most people will say, oh, it's fine, but it just makes me uncomfortable because the crisscross is actually down here. And if I have to wear a cami with a rayon dress, it kind of negates the whole like cool and breeziness of a rayon dress. So this one will probably just be worn out to dinner or, you know, maybe in Mexico. But yeah, I love the fabric. I love the pattern. Love the pattern. The two together, I like. Not love, I like. So that would be my review of this dress. And I'm anxious to see what Whitney's turned out like. We did not see each other's, so it'll be interesting to see what she has done with it and what her opinions of the pattern were. I am so thankful that you tuned in to watch today. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell so you get notified when I put up new videos. I will be back on Friday. Rather than Friday Sewing School, which we're in the middle of putting together a t-shirt. I'm going to give everybody one more week to buy their t-shirt fabric and get as far as we did the last session. Most people have told me they're kind of behind anyway, so I don't. But instead, I'm going to preempt Friday Sewing School with my video on how to do set-in sleeves with clear elastic. That will be Friday's video this week. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you again to Whitney for collaborating with me on this project, and happy sewing, y'all.